I was listening to Charles Stanley on the radio as I was driving to work to start my shift, and it was the first day that I began to feel uncertain and a bit down about the steps that I needed to take to publish my manuscript. For a brief minute or two, I was thinking that I should abandon the process altogether because it just seemed overwhelming. As I was driving, I stopped at a red light, and coincidentally, if you believe in coincidences, Charles Stanley was talking on the car radio about a man who gave up on his manuscript after he had experienced some rejection from a few publishers. He threw his manuscript into the garbage because of this. His wife, seeing this, went to retrieve the manuscript from the garbage, and he told her not to touch it. So later on, this man's wife, with the manuscript still in the garbage, brought the garbage with the manuscript in it to a publisher, and the rest is history. I immediately recognized that because I do not believe in coincidences, that God was communicating to me, and Mr. Stanley had given me a word I needed and knowledge I did not have. Before I continue, if you want to support my work here on YouTube, please comment on this video, like and share this video on your social media pages. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, and YouTube will recommend this video more often. Thank you, I appreciate that. Norman Vincent Peale, who authored the book, The Power of Positive Thinking, was the one who Charles Stanley was speaking of. I love the feeling of direct and clear communication between me and God, and this was one of those beautiful examples of it. It was timely and concise. Now let me pause and say, I do not attend the Church of Charles Stanley, and I do not know him. I also do not believe that because of this, Charles Stanley is a prophet. Charles, unless you believe this to be a coincidence, was giving me a word I needed and knowledge that I did not have. Or said another way, Charles Stanley has the gift of the word of knowledge spoken about in 1 Corinthians 12:8. And in the overwhelm that I was temporarily in, which Charles Stanley took me out of, overwhelm can be a lack of knowledge about what to do, given that there are so many options that are difficult and unfamiliar. This gift of the Spirit was designed, among other things, to destroy overwhelm. You, if you have attended a church, synagogue, mosque, or a psychic, or any other religious institution lately, have probably felt this way at times. It is a very intimate feeling. And you may have believed that the pastor, if you were going to a church or religious leader, was a type of prophet because of this. Though some pastors, I am going to just focus on the church with this video because there is an epidemic of this type of preaching in it, from my experience, have been called prophets because they can invoke this feeling in people. That is false. It is a lie straight from the bowels of hell. The Bible is clear that true prophets are those that can predict the future and keep the commandments of God. Like it is explained here clearly in the Old Testament. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams arises among you and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder comes true concerning which he spoke to you, saying, "Let us go after other gods whom you have not known, and let us serve them," you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, for the Lord your God is testing you to find out if you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Deuteronomy 13:1-3 does not say, if you are going through some problems and your pastor at church happens to be preaching on those particular topics, and as a result of that, you feel as if God is directly talking to you, then the pastor is a prophet. Why am I bringing this up? Well, let's say that I was attending the church of Mr. Stanley, and he found out from a friend that I was having a difficult time with the process that I was going through to publish my manuscript. Or he broke into my house and read my diary and read that I was having this problem. Or he was also a hacker and he hacked my emails and he read that I was having this problem. Or he tapped my phone line and heard me talking to one of my friends about me having this problem. The trick is I have to be unaware that he knows. I have to be in a lack of knowledge. All of the examples, and I know Mr. Stanley would not do any of these things, but for the sake of the point of this video, just entertain me. You may not know, but if Charles Stanley preached the same topic, it would feel the same way. It would feel like God was speaking through him to me, and if I did not know Deuteronomy 13:1-3 and its definition of a prophet, he could trick me into thinking that he is a prophet because of the feeling you get when the preacher preaches on a topic you need a word in and knowledge you do not have. This is what they call hot reading, and many churches are so full of gossipers that there is a ubiquitous supply of hot reading material for the pastors. Besides the story of King Saul and the medium at Endor, where Saul is being hot read, which I cover in my book Faith in the Lack of Knowledge, another story, though hot reading is not taking place in this story, is with Jesus at the well with the Samaritan woman. It is a good example of how a person feels when you tell them things in a spiritual context that they know that there is no possibility that you could know. The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water, so I will not be thirsty, nor come all the way here to draw." He said to her, "Go call your husband, and come here." The woman answered and said, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You have correctly said, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you have now is not your husband. This you have said truly." The woman said to him, "Sir, I perceive you are a prophet." Ding, 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 ding. Well, of course I am a prophet. This is exactly why hot reading preachers seek inside information through gossip or any other illicit means. Had Jesus attained this information from breaking into the woman's house and reading her diary, or tapping her phone line, or hacking her emails, or just from some of the apostles like James or John or someone else, and without this lady's knowledge, showed that he had known something about her without her knowing he had attained it elsewhere, as long as she is in a lack of knowledge about it, using the lack of knowledge here is key, then this story would be a hot read. And this unfortunate lady, with all her previous husbands and her current boyfriend, would all probably be under the complete control of this hot reader, giving the hot reader as much money as they could and being a living commercial for the hot reader wherever they went. However, we know Jesus did not hot read in this story and that he is in fact a legitimate prophet and the Son of God. Haven't you ever wondered why some Christians would do anything for their pastors, even violate the Word of God? Once a Christian feels that God is speaking to them through their pastor, they'll do anything to protect the tickling of the ears. So the next time you go to church, mosque, synagogue, or your local psychic, and it feels like God is speaking to you through these people, remember, you are not in a lack of knowledge anymore. You can ask yourself, did they find something out about you from another source, and preach on it in order to put you under their full and absolute control? Hosea once said, "My people are destroyed by a lack of knowledge." This does not have to be you anymore.